Hi there, it's Clara, staying by your side with songs and words. Today's topic is why is it so hard to praise ourselves? I'll be sharing a simple two-step approach to being kinder to yourself. We'll talk about the pros and cons of self-praise and then move on to step one, acknowledging, and step two, appreciating your efforts. First, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of praising yourself. You often hear things like, let's be positive or praise yourself more. However, I believe there are also challenges and downsides to this idea. One clear benefit is that when done appropriately, self-praise can improve your self-esteem and help you recover more easily from setbacks. Especially if you tend toward perfectionism, it can be helpful to say things like, I made it through the day, that's great, or I worked for 10 minutes, that's something to be proud of. On the other hand, simply praising yourself can be surprisingly difficult. For example, when I try to tell myself good job, there's another part of me that feels almost unconvinced. Even if write it down or say it out loud, I worked for 10 minutes, good job, it can feel forced, as if I don't truly believe it. There is also another risk. If you rely too much on, I did this, so I deserve praise, you may start to feel worse on days when you cannot find anything to praise. Even if you lower the bar and say any progress counts, there will still be days when nothing gets done. On those days, you might end up thinking, there's nothing to praise today, and feel even more discouraged. Ideally, we will be able to appreciate ourselves as we are, but that is not always easy. So, I'd like to introduce a two-step approach to being kinder to yourself. Step one is acknowledging. This means noticing and accepting your emotions. As I've mentioned in a previous video, simply recognizing your feelings and putting them into words can already have a meaningful effect. When you notice, I feel sad or I feel anxious, it creates a small sense of closure and allows you to move forward. Of course, it is not always easy to go further and praise yourself right away. You might wish you could say, this anxiety was a necessary step, or I handled that well. But it doesn't always come naturally. Even if you cannot praise yourself, it is enough to say, this is how I feel, and allow it. I feel anxious, and it's okay to feel that way. That is the first important step. Step two is appreciating your efforts. Compared to trying to frame everything positively and praise yourself, simply saying, good work today, can feel more approachable. And importantly, this step is especially useful when things did not go well. When something feels incomplete, when plans fall through, when you make a mistake, that is exactly the moment to say to yourself, good work. It may also help to gently include a small element of praise within that appreciation. For example, one thing I often struggle with is not being able to stop negative thinking. After a mistake, I can dwell on it for a long time. In those moments, I first say to myself, good work today. Then I remind myself that just as nothing is ever a perfect 100, it is also rarely a complete 0. Even in an hour of negative thinking, it is actually difficult to remain entirely negative the whole time. Have you ever noticed brief moments even just for a second, when your thoughts shift slightly? If so, you might say, it wasn't entirely negative. There was a moment when I felt a little better, and perhaps that's something. Another example is when you say something awkward at a social gathering and keep replaying it in your mind. First, say, good work for getting through it. Then, remember, you were not making mistakes the entire time. There were also moments when you were simply being yourself. You don't have to force yourself to find something impressive. Just noticing that it wasn't all bad may help ease your feelings. So today, we explored why it can be difficult to praise ourselves and how to be a little kinder to ourselves. Trying to force yourself to find positives or to praise yourself can sometimes feel unnatural. In those moments, I hope these two steps can help. First, notice your feelings and acknowledge them. Second, especially when things don't go well, say to yourself, good work today, and appreciate your effort. On this channel, I share thoughts about mental health like this and also post singing videos. If you're interested, please consider subscribing. I will see you in the next video. Bye!